Ever imagine ordering like 1,000 custom journals, and then they arrive, and the paper is so thin that you can like see through it. That's like the ultimate bulk buying fail.
Yeah, that's a nightmare scenario for sure. But don't worry, in this deep dive, we're going to help you avoid those pitfalls and really master the art of bulk buying, especially for custom products.
Nice. So where are we getting all this wisdom from?
Well, we've got an amazing guide for this deep dive. Leo Gia, CEO of Lion Paper Products. He's been doing this for over 20 years.
Wow, so he knows his stuff.
Oh, yeah. He even wrote a book called Bulk Buying Secrets. It's full of practical tips and real-world examples.
Sounds like we're in good hands. So what's the first secret to successful bulk buying?
All right, so the first thing Leo really emphasizes is clarity. You need to know exactly what you want before you even talk to a supplier.
Makes sense, especially with custom stuff where every little detail matters.
Exactly. He says in his book, ordering 1,000 notebooks with the wrong binding, it's like ordering 1,000 pizzas with anchovies when you hate anchovies.
Yeah.
You're going to be stuck with something you don't want.
That's a pretty vivid analogy. So it's not just about avoiding buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
It's about setting yourself up for success from the get-go.
Right. And he gives this crazy example in his book. He had a client who was ordering custom planners for a big conference. They got so caught up in the design, they forgot to specify the binding.
Oh no, what happened?
They ended up with these giant spiral-bound planners that were super awkward to carry around.
Ouch, that's a lesson learned right there.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid falling into that trap? Where do you even start when you're trying to figure out all those must-have details for a custom order?
Well, Leo breaks it down into three main areas:
Hmm.
materials, functionality, and aesthetics.
Okay, so starting with materials, I guess that's all about paper types,
Yeah.
cover, stock, binding materials, all the nitty-gritty stuff.
Yep. Are you going for like a luxury feel with thick, high-quality paper? Or do you need something more lightweight and budget-friendly? Do you want a hard cover, a soft cover, something water-resistant? You got to think about all those things.
Makes sense. So what about functionality? What kind of questions should we be asking ourselves there?
Think about how people are going to use the product. If it's a planner, how many pages does it need? What kind of layout works best? Does it need pockets, calendars, note sections?
And for a journal, would you think about the size, the format? Line pages, blank pages, dotted pages, all that.
Exactly. You got to consider how people will be using it. Will they be writing? Drawing, both.
Gotcha. And then aesthetics. That's where you can have some fun with the design, right?
Totally. This is where your brand personality can really shine through. Think about colors, fonts, logos, any design elements that will make your product stand out.
So you're saying bulk buying is about more than just getting the cheapest price.
Yeah, Leo really challenges that idea. He says it's not about squeezing every penny out of the supplier. It's about building strong long-term relationships that benefit both parties.
Interesting. So it's about more than just a transaction.
Exactly. He actually tells a story about how a strong supplier relationship saved his business during a major supply chain disruption.
Wait, hold on. I got to hear this one. What happened?
So a few years back, there was a huge shortage of this specific type of paper that Leo's company relied on for their most popular product.
Oh, wow. So they were in trouble.
Yeah, big time. He was trying to find a new supplier, but everyone was out of stock.
So what did he do?
Just when he was about to lose a major order, he remembered this small family-run paper mill he'd worked with years ago.
Oh, it's awesome.
He called them up. And even though they were struggling with the shortage too, they agreed to prioritize his order because of their history.
Wow, that's the power of loyalty for sure.
Yeah.
So that relationship was worth its weight in gold, literally. But how do you actually go about building those kinds of strong supplier relationships? Is it all about fancy dinners and schmoozing?
Not necessarily. Leo talks about a few key principles. First, communication is huge. He says treat your suppliers like partners, not just vendors. Keep them in the loop. Be transparent about your needs and always respect their time.
Got it. So it's about building trust and being a good communicator.
Yep.
What else?
Consistency and reliability are also super important. If you promise a certain order volume or payment terms, stick to your word. Suppliers are more likely to go the extra mile for clients who are dependable.
That makes sense. So communication, consistency, reliability, anything else?
The last thing Leo mentions is fairness. Don't try to bully suppliers into the lowest possible price. Remember, they have a business to run too. Be willing to negotiate a fair price that benefits both sides.
Right. It's a partnership, not a dictatorship. So we've got clarity on our product specs, and we're building those strong supplier relationships.
Yeah.
What's next on our bulk buying checklist?
All right, now it's time to get strategic with our negotiations.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
Yeah, we're going to talk about how to get the best possible deal.
I'm all ears. All right, so we've laid the groundwork. We know what we want. We're treating our suppliers like the VIPs they are.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about getting that sweet, sweet deal. Spill the beans. Is it all about playing hardball in negotiations?
You know, Leo actually has a way more interesting take on this. He says it's not just about the price, it's about finding those win-win levers that benefit both you and the supplier.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these magical levers. What are we talking about here?
Think about it. There's so much more to a deal than just that unit price. There's shipping payment terms, those extra services you can get, and even things like how much you got to order minimums and all that.
Okay, yeah, shipping costs can definitely add up, especially with big, bulky orders. Any tips for navigating that part of the negotiation?
Definitely. First off, be upfront about your shipping needs. What's your timeline? Any special handling instructions? Once you've got that clear, don't be afraid to ask for discounts or maybe even free shipping. If you're placing a big order, they might be open to it.
That makes sense. What about payment terms? Is there wiggle room there too?
Oh yeah, for sure. People often forget about this one. Instead of just accepting their standard terms, see if you can negotiate a longer payment period. That can be a game changer for your cash flow, especially if you're a smaller business.
So let's say they usually want payment in 30 days. Could I try to stretch that to like 60 or even 90 days?
Exactly. And you'd be surprised how often suppliers are down to be flexible,
Yeah.
especially if you've got that good rapport with them.
And then there's the classic bulk discount. Buy more, save more. But are those discounts always as good as they seem?
They can be,
Yeah.
but you got to be smart about it. Leo recommends doing the math to find that sweet spot where you're getting a good price per unit without ending up with a warehouse full of stuff you can't sell.
Yeah, storage space isn't free.
Yeah.
And you don't want all your cash tied up in inventory.
Right. Leo says look at your past sales and your future projections. Get a realistic idea of how much you'll actually need. Then factor in things like storage costs and the risk that the product might become obsolete.
Got it. So it's not just about snagging the biggest discount. It's about finding that balance.
Right. And sometimes it might even make sense to split your order into smaller chunks to minimize your risk.
That's a good point. Yeah. Now, you mentioned those extra services earlier. What are some examples of those?
This is where you can get creative. Think beyond the price tag. Maybe they can give you free samples so you can test out different materials. Or maybe they can do custom packaging or labeling that matches your branding. Expedited production or rush shipping could be an option too if you're in a time crunch.
So it's like those bonus perks that actually add real value.
Exactly. And sometimes those extras can be worth even more than a small discount.
Okay, so we've covered shipping payment terms, bulk discounts, and those value-added services. Anything else we should be thinking about during negotiations?
Oh yeah, one more big one. Don't be afraid to walk away if the deal isn't right for you.
Really? Even after all that effort?
Yep. Sometimes it's necessary. Remember, you're the one in control. If the supplier isn't meeting your needs or if something feels off, don't settle. There are plenty of other options out there.
That's a good reminder. You don't have to force it, even if you've already put in some time.
It's way better to walk away than to get trapped in a deal that could hurt your business down the line.
So we've mastered the art of the deal. But how do we make sure we're actually getting what we paid for? We're talking custom products here. How do you know the quality is going to be there?
That's where data-driven decisions come in. You can't just trust the supplier to deliver. You need concrete evidence.
So instead of going with my gut, I need to put on my detective hat and gather some hard data.
Exactly. Leo's all about taking the guesswork out of it. He says, data is your friend. And when it comes to custom products, there are a few key things to look at.
Okay, I'm ready to take notes. What kind of data should I be requesting?
First off, ask about their material certifications. You want to know exactly what you're getting and make sure it meets your standards. So for example, if you're ordering notebooks and sustainability is important, ask if they have FSC certification.
Right, that makes total sense.
Okay.
What else?
Then find out about their production capacity. Can they actually handle your order volume and hit your deadlines? Don't be afraid to ask for a tour of their facility or talk to other clients who have placed similar orders. That way you can get a feel for their capabilities and how they operate.
So you're saying don't just take their word for it. Do your own research.
Right. And while you're at it, ask about customer reviews or testimonials. Hearing from other businesses who have worked with them can give you valuable insights into how they communicate, how they handle problems, and their overall reliability.
Okay, so we've got material certifications, production capacity, and customer reviews. Anything else to add to our data checklist?
One more thing. Get those lead time estimates in writing. Clear communication about when you can expect delivery is crucial for planning your launch, your marketing, whatever you're doing with those custom products. You don't want any last-minute surprises.
This all makes sense, but I'm already feeling a little overwhelmed. Just thinking about managing all this information, spreadsheets, emails. It's a lot to keep track of.
I hear you. It can feel like a lot. But luckily, there's a better way. Technology can be a total game changer when it comes to streamlining the bulk buying process.
Okay, so tech to the rescue. What kind of tools are we talking about?
There are sourcing platforms that help you find and vet potential suppliers. There's inventory management software that can track your orders, monitor your stock levels, and even automate reordering. And then there are data analytics tools that can help you crunch those numbers and make smarter decisions.
So instead of drowning in spreadsheets, I can use tech to automate things, gain insights, and basically work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And it's cool to know that Lion Paper itself uses a bunch of these technologies. They're not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk.
I love that. It gives you more confidence when a company practices what they preach.
Hmm.
But you know there's another part of bulk buying that's really important to me. And I know it's top of mind for a lot of our listeners too.
You're talking about sustainability and ethical sourcing, right?
You know, it's not just about getting a good deal anymore. It's about making sure the deal aligns with my values.
I'm right there with you. And the great thing is, Leo sees ethical sourcing as more than just the right thing to do. He sees it as a smart business move, too. He believes prioritizing sustainability can actually boost your brand image, attract new customers, and even improve your bottom line.
So it's not just about doing good. It's about doing well by doing good. Love that. But how do you actually make sure your bulk purchases are ethically sourced? What should you be looking for?
First and foremost, ask about the materials. Are they eco-friendly? Are they sustainably harvested or sourced? For example, if you're ordering wooden products, look for suppliers who use FSC-certified wood. That means it comes from responsibly managed forests.
Got it. So we're checking for eco-friendly materials.
What else? Then look into their environmental practices. Do they follow regulations? Are they trying to reduce their carbon footprint? Maybe they're using renewable energy or doing things to minimize waste. Those are all good signs.
Okay, so materials and environmental practices. What about the people making the products? How can we be sure they're being treated fairly?
That's so important. Don't be afraid to ask those tough questions about labor practices. Do they pay a living wage? Do they have safe working conditions? Are they following all the labor laws? If a supplier gets cagey about answering or gives vague responses, that's a red flag.
So it's not just about checking a box and saying, yep, we're sustainable. It's about really understanding the whole picture from the materials to the factory floor.
Exactly. It's about transparency, accountability, and a real commitment to ethical practices.
Now, some people might be thinking, okay, this sounds great, but isn't ethical sourcing always more expensive? What would you say to that?
It's true that sometimes choosing ethically sourced materials or working with suppliers who prioritize fair labor practices can add a bit to your costs. But here's the thing. Consumers are more and more willing to pay extra for products made responsibly. In fact, studies show that people are more loyal to brands that share their values.
So in the long run, investing in ethical sourcing can actually pay off.
Absolutely. It's a smart business decision that can help your bottom line and your brand reputation.
A win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah.
I'm really struck by how bulk buying is about so much more than just getting a good price. It's about relationships.